We were talking in the green room prior that there was that issue in the Raiders game. We'll get to that. But with regards to the Lions and them having been in Kansas City, what were your thoughts on Thursday's game? Okay. Welcome to the show, Cap. I don't have any audio from you yet, but that's okay. And I'm not sure why my chat's not doing the overlay. It should be showing comments. It's not. So I apologize for that. It's not because we're trying to exclude your comments. It's because I don't know how to work my thing, I guess. But we'll get to your.
Whoa, 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 whoa! Don't ever say that.
Yeah, I know that. I don't know how to work the internet. My other thing's fine.
That's not what you
Um,
said.
my
That's
other
not
thing
what
is
you
fine.
said.
So is my phone.
Okay.
Anyway, but I apologize that the chat's not coming through. I'll try to fix that here. But keep the comments coming because we will address those as we go. So, Cap, now that you're live, welcome to the show. We're just getting started. We're talking about the Lions going into Kansas City, beating the Chiefs and the Refs. What were your thoughts on the game last Thursday in Kansas City?
Well, I had a hard on for quite a long
Ouch!
time.
Even after 4 hours,
Watching
you're
that.
supposed to go to the
Yeah, well,
doctor.
hey, and that was without the 8 of blue pills too.
Wow,
So that's not a
huh?
That's
bad
a good
thing.
day, huh?
So yeah,
That's
I
a
was
good day.
yeah, damn right. Rawr. Yeah, I had a beef stiffy, and it was wonderful. So that's all I can say there. I'm turning my YouTube on so I can actually see comments when they come through.
Right on, right
Um,
on.
who's
Okay.
okay, good. Anyway, apologies. Yeah, I'm coming in hot and live.
Yeah.
But it's always good
Okay.
to see everybody here.
All right.
The the,
So
Absolutely.
the game the game was it was an exciting game. It was a well played game by the Lions for the most part because
yeah.
Mahomes didn't look real good. And I can and I and what gave me the stiffy was seeing the turnovers that the Gator slash ex Giant slash a hole Chief Kadarius Tony made.
Mm.
He had at least two or three
Oh,
drops plus a tip for the pick six. And again, this
yeah.
kid's a Gator, and he was almost the sole reason why they lost that game. Almost the sole
Yeah,
reason
no,
why.
that's true. That and Kelsey not being in there didn't help.
Well, but
They got a
see,
lot of.
their tight ends. I apologize, boss. Their tight ends played well. Now they didn't
Yeah.
they didn't have a Kelsey game, but for the most part,
No,
when
that's
when
true.
when,
Yeah.
when he needed to have the help of the tight end, there's nothing like the help of a good tight end. Let's put it that way. Um, Female type. Brum, bum, bum. I
Yeah.
have to say that because there's a guy on the Wild Wild West show who always he takes my double entendre and he turns it back on me and says that I'm gay. Not that there's anything wrong with that, as Jerry Seinfeld would say, but trust me, I'm definitely not gay. But
Oh,
anyway,
we get that.
yeah, we get. But see, he says, because it's all of the quips, and he says whatever. You know what, Biggie Bronco, who's not watching, that's for you, brother. Anyway, see what happens when you come in hot right from the rehab center.
Gary. All
So,
right.
but yeah, great game and greater result. That's for sure.
Yeah, there's no doubt about it. Yeah. And we'll get into implications of that too, because now the Chiefs have to go into Jacksonville, and it'll be. We'll talk about that. Hey Jay, welcome to the
What's
show.
up, Jay?
The Panthers went into Atlanta, got beat by the Falcons. Guys, I think we picked the Falcons last week. Not a surprise that the Panthers are having struggled to get things going. I think we're going to learn more about the Panthers this week than we learned last week because they're going to be at home against the Saints team that struggled a lot against Tennessee. I actually like Carolina's chances, quite frankly, against the Derek Carr-led Saints. But the Falcons, we probably I think we learned more about the Panthers than we did the Falcons. We learned that the
Right.
Panthers weren't ready, and I think there's a lot of reasons why for that. But I think Atlanta, a 14-point win there was pretty good for a division win. But I'm still not sure what we have in Atlanta. But I think we'll know quite a bit more after this week, after they played the Packers, right?
Right. Well, like Ritter for the quarterback for Atlanta, Ritter, he has a solid running game, which just made his passing game that much easier to execute.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
really that rookie B. John Robinson,
Yeah.
I guess it
Yeah.
is.
Yeah. Well,
What a load, man. This
no
kid,
doubt.
he reminds me of a young Marcus Allen, just with
Yeah.
even though he's more jacked than Marcus, just the way he
Yeah.
ran the ball, he's a straightforward kind of cat.
Yeah, and I think if the I think here's the thing with the Falcons, right? They got the win, they got the division win at home. They got the Packers coming in this week. I think two things. If they beat the Packers, I think it's a big if. But if they beat the Packers, the AFC South, somebody better wake up because the Falcons might be for real. But I think the bigger issue here, two wins at home for the Falcons to start the season is going to be important because it's great to have the 2 weeks at home, but you're going to pay for that later in the season when your last two games against Chicago and New Orleans are on the road. So it'll be really interesting to see what we get out of Atlanta again this week. Another 24 points against the Packers, and I'm not saying they will, but another 24 points for them could say a lot towards how good this team might be throughout the rest of the season because they're going to go to Detroit and they got to go to Jacksonville, but then they have
Detroit.
yeah, sorry, they got to go play. They got to go play the Lions. So, but if they were to end up 2-0, that would be interesting. I'm not sure they'll beat the Packers, but it could happen. Cincinnati went into Cleveland and got their tails declawed. Man,
They got burrowed.
Yeah, they did.
Nice one.
This is not a good scenario for Cincinnati. They've lost a division game now on the road, a game that they should have showed up for and won, and they didn't. Now they go home to play Baltimore, another division team, and I don't know how the Bengals are going to handle that, but they better fix it, and they better fix it in a hurry because an 0-2 Bengals team, you might as well be 0-4 because you've lost two games in a division now, in a division that everybody expected you to win. So I think the Bengals better show up this week, but I think you got to be pretty impressed, not so much with Cleveland's 24 points and to the Bengals 3, but that defense, man. Did anybody expect Cleveland to be that jacked up on defense at this point? I didn't.
They definitely came in and set the tone. This Garrett kid, man, like I say, he's looked like he was ready to play in the Super Bowl. But that's how much that game means to both those teams. And for one to not show up, kind of baffled me a little bit.
Yeah. Yeah, Ed's got a good point. A lot of teams, especially the offenses, start slow, and I agree with you on that point. I'm not sure a division teams. I don't know to start slow against a division team. I don't know, but it happened. Jacksonville went into Indianapolis. The Colts gave the Jaguars, I think, more than they bargained for, but Jacksonville got away with the road win in the division. I think we learn more about Indianapolis this week when they go in to play Houston, because I don't really know what we've got with either one of those teams. Houston did a pretty good job against Baltimore, but I'm not sold on the Ravens yet. So I think the Colts are going to get all they want against Houston. I think they can come away with the win, but there's a couple rookie quarterbacks, right, starting in that game.
Absolutely, and one didn't have a great start. For Houston, not at all.
And they also have a rookie head coach, right?
Right.
Rookie head coach. A lot of things going on there.
Yeah.
So I guess you could say the same for the Colts too,
now,
right?
For the Colts, pretty much same scenario. I think they wanted Anthony to do too much just to start. And I saw him take a couple of hard hits that will shorten his career if he don't watch out.
Yep. Yeah, mm-hmm. and I think Lawrence from Jacksonville told him essentially the same thing, right?
Yeah, protect yourself, man.
Yep. Tampa Bay went into Minnesota, beat the Vikings. That was quite a surprise. I'm not sure what we have with the faux Pirates yet, but to go to Minnesota and beat the Nordics up there says something. I don't know what it says, but it says something. What do you guys think it says?
Well, I know what it tells me is that I have to listen to a bunch of "We're the greatest. We're going to the Super Bowl" for a whole week, and it's like
at least it'd only be a week.
Yeah, well, listening to fake Pirate fans, or it's disheartening is about the nicest way to say it, but it's like it's like watching somebody projectile vomit and then eating it. You know, it's
Well,
that vile.
you might
That
you
vile.
might have to listen to that for a couple of weeks because you got last week. Now they've got Chicago, a team that they can beat. Then it might slow down a little bit, Cap, because they got Philadelphia at home, then they got New Orleans, then they got a bye week, then they've got Detroit, so they've got some game, and then Atlanta. So on the road at Buffalo, on the road at Houston. So I'm not sure how long you'll have to listen to that, but you might have to listen to it for one more week at least.
I hope not.
Yeah, I hope not too. Tennessee went into New Orleans. We had one heck of a defensive battle. I don't know what we've got here, but I think if out of all of that, I think the thing that bothers me is that if you're Tennessee, you got to be worried when you can't put up, more than 15 points in New
Right.
Orleans. I think you can walk out of there saying there's nothing wrong with our defense, but if you want to win the AFC South, you better score some points, and I think they got big trouble there.
Yeah, it definitely was a defensive dominated battle on both sides. It almost reminded me of the old school smash mouth.
Mm-hmm.
Derek had his connections with his receiver, but the defense really carried the day for both teams, and the defense helped New Orleans squeak out that win.
Yeah, and Sultan's
Before we go any further, this is the golf clap for Derek Carr finally crossing the 50-yard line in the New Orleans, in the Superdome. You finally did it.
Okay.
You finally did
Okay.
it. Didn't do it last year. Oh no, that would have been asking too
Right.
much. But he finally did it this year. So here's the golf clap
Okay.
to Derek Carr.
Yeah. Yep. As we move to the 18th hole.
There you
Yeah,
go.
Sultan's right. Tannehill looks terrible.
Yeah, he does.
And I Tennessee, man, they better get their act together. They got the Chargers coming in this week, and the Chargers don't know how to play defense at all, but the
Yeah,
Titans
we're-
do. So something's got to give there.
Oh, yeah.
San Francisco went into Pittsburgh, cleaned the Steelers' clock. The 49ers look Super Bowl ready. The Steelers did not even look like they knew how to play football, which is really bad. They got a lot of things to fix. They better fix them in a hurry. They got
No. Wait until week 4.
yeah.
Wait
but,
until week 4. They can fix them week 4.
Yeah.
Anything before then, I don't want to see
Gotcha.
fixed. I want it to be as broke can
Well,
be.
I'm reading.
if it's still broken, they're going to get beat by the Browns this week. That would be not only 2 losses, but it'd be 2 losses at home and 1 in the division. I don't know how you can start more ugly than that unless the Bengals lose. That'd be maybe the double ugly. But for an NFC North division that we thought was going to be competitive, an 0-2 Bengals or 0-2 Steelers team going to make Cleveland look like playoff. But anyway, whatever it is with the Steelers, and whenever they decide to fix it, it needs fixing.
Week 4. Week 4.
Week 4, exactly.
Arizona got beat by Washington. No surprise there.
Nah.
Green Bay went into Chicago, beat the Bears. This was one we weren't sure of last week because we weren't sure because it was Green Bay on the road and Jordan Love as the new quarterback. Guys, the Packers team went in there, scored 38 points. So I guess the Bears are what they thought they were, or whatever that is. But the real question here is Green Bay what we thought they were?
I tell you. Go ahead, Cap. Go ahead.
No. I was pointing at you, or actually, I should.
Well, I tell you what. Everybody was poised to see.
There you go.
And myself included, to see Fields just go out there and put on a clinic. That was the other case around. It was Jordan Love and that running game that just opened everything up.
Yeah.
And they pretty much gassed the defense of the Bears, man.
Yeah.
And I like I said, I picked the Bears. I
did too.
will admit that.
Yeah.
Because I thought that they would show up. I thought that Fields and that team would be a little bit more, that they were sick and tired of being on the receiving ends of L's dictated by the Packers, and I thought this was their time to actually come forward. Obviously, they didn't get the memo. We got the memo.
So I put in my memo, Cap, Love keeps the belt. So he still owns it, So
okay.
Yeah. But anyway, they're going to go down to Atlanta. So now we're going to see if the Packers can hold it together. They go down there and convincingly beat the Falcons like they beat the Bears. I realized they'd be 2-0 and have beaten probably 2 otherwise marginal teams, but that's a huge confidence boost for a team that wasn't sure where they were going to be without Aaron Rodgers. So We'll see in next week's show what we're saying or not saying about the Packers. I'm a little worried you're going to go down there and maybe get beat by Atlanta, and then we don't know what we have with Green Bay. That'll mean the Chicago game was maybe a little bit of an anomaly, or maybe they played over their heads because of division game, but we'll see. We'll come back to the Raiders game just a second because Miami went into LA to take on the Chargers. Nobody played any defense in that game. Miami came away with the win in a game that the Chargers should have won but didn't. What do we have here? A Chargers team that's probably overrated, a Dolphins team that's better than we thought.
I think both.
Yeah.
I think both. Yeah, because remember, especially after what happened with the Jets at their quarterback spot, yes, they won, but at what cost? It could be a Pyrrhic victory.
Yeah.
If you don't know what a Pyrrhic victory is, look it up. It's historical. Okay. And then if you don't know, there's a movie that has that in it too. So anyway, okay. The Bills looked, well, actually it wasn't really the Bills. Allen looked like crap on Monday, and I'm hoping that he doesn't fix that stuff until week
three. Right.
Three.
Yeah,
right.
3. So if the Bills don't look good, that's good. The Dolphins looks solid and so, but it was like a Charger game for when Fouch was playing quarterback. Yeah. We're going to score, but we're not going to be able to stop you from scoring. Yeah. So it was one of those type of games. I'm sorry, V, if I bunged on you, brother.
Don's got a good point in there. Week 1's not a good gauge. We know that. But that's a good point. It says by week 3, they are who we thought they were. But that's really important comment because in this show, by week 3, guys, we're going to start to see this. We don't know what with some of these teams we talk about. We think we know what we have or not sure what we have. By week 3, we're going to start to see a couple of trends. Certainly, we're going to get more of those as we get into the season. But what's the big one we always talk about? And that's points scored, right? So, teams that lost, Chargers lost, Baltimore. I'm sorry. Out of the top 10 teams scoring this week, the Chargers are the only team that lost. So, yeah, it's kind of interesting stuff. But we'll get into that. But that's a good point. The Raiders went into Denver to take on the Broncos. Raiders got away with a 1-point win. I was a little disappointed that they didn't get some more points towards the end of the game. They were in field goal range, and I know they took a knee to run out the clock and all that, but I would have liked to have seen.
Well, they would have had a friggin' touchdown instead of a field goal if the friggin' officials would have called the friggin' holding on Devontae Adams. Hello.
Well, let's talk.
You have a fistful of friggin' jersey, and Adams was living like. I'm sure he was like he was probably pulling a John McEnroe. You can't be serious, man. You can't be serious.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Well, there was. Yeah, I agree with you on that. There was definitely I think there were 4 calls in that game that I was focused on. That was one, and that one should have been called. They've certainly called other folks for less than that.
Yeah.
Exactly. I thought that the DPI call near the end of the first half, where that gave the Broncos a touchdown late in the second quarter, I thought was defendable. Are you talking about the
one on our boy DeCorian?
Yeah, it was on Bennett.
Yeah.
Well, I was going to say now I had a little bit right. I had a little bit of an issue with that until, and I'll give Richie Rich his due on this. I said, dude, Bennett tripped over his feet and then went over onto the receiver. Okay. So he said, no, Cap, if you look at the play, Bennett was beat off the line of scrimmage. So he kind of gave him the tug and go when he was going by him. I said, okay. And Richie, like I said, he's definitely, when he breaks down things, he said, if he said that and saw it, I'll take it at his word. So if that was what the original call was, and that's what they said it was, then it was worthwhile. But, but there was a lot of calls that were definitively uncalled, not called, and definitely piss off the captain calls. Let's put it for that way. Who
I
the hell
think
is
that
calling me?
I think that that DPI call near the end of the first half is defendable.
Because of the optics.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but I would just say this: it if if I'd been the field judge, that's not a foul. I'm sorry.
Right.
There's contact all over the place. It did not have a detrimental effect on the play. On top of that, now it used to be a thing. It's not a thing anymore as to whether the ball is catchable or not. That's not a thing
Right.
anymore. It
I
used to
was
be as part of the call.
right.
It's not anymore. They've removed that, but that's still a thing in
Yeah.
terms of whether or not it's a foul. It's just not an official
Yes.
thing. And so after when you look at the play in its entirety, the ball's not catchable. Now you could argue that he was held up to the ball wasn't catchable, but that argument
Yeah.
doesn't float with me.
It looked pretty much uncatchable to me too, from where I'm sitting,
Yeah,
and a great acting job on the receiver also.
yeah. So I think there's a lot going on there. So Richie Rich A, I agree with you, Cap. We can defend the call, if you will, by the book, but I don't know.
Hmm.
I wouldn't have a flag out of my pocket, but maybe I'm biased. There were a couple things that were interesting in that game, though, and I shut the chat down so we can look at this in the video. I want you to take a look at this slide here.
Oh yeah.
I want you to focus now. A couple things on the video here that are important. Let's get some ground rules for what we're talking about here. First of all, we're looking at the Denver offense and the Raiders defense. I know you all know that. But the official that you see up behind there in the black pants, that's the referee. That's Vinovich. Okay. What's more important in this particular call, because we're going to come back to it in a little bit, notice that notice the orientation of the Denver Broncos logo. That's
Okay.
important in this picture because it tells you whether the right side of your video or the left side of your video is the home side. So the home side, the Denver sideline is to the right. The Raiders sideline is to the left. The key for that is because this is in the first quarter,
Yep.
which means that your line judge is to the right, your down judge is to the left. Why is that important? Because the down judge in this game is a rookie, and we're going to ding him for a couple things in this game. This is one. So you've got a rookie down judge on your left. Now I'm going to roll this forward. But when I roll it forward, I want you to focus on one thing. There's two slides, so I want you to focus on the right tackle for Denver. Okay, so stay focused there, and then I'll stop the slide and the slide two. It runs for about 4 seconds, and then it'll stop, and then I'll pause it. Focus on the right tackle. Now, what just happened? Everybody's still where they were except for the right tackle. Not only are his hands off his knees, but his foot's back. He's moving
Yeah.
before the snap. Was there a flag? No.
Nope.
Should there have been a flag? You goddamn better believe it. But this is pervasive, it seems, now throughout the NFL. We saw this time and time again in Kansas City. So we can't specifically fault the down judge if that's what they're being taught. But I think the integrity of the game is at stake here, and I think they should flag it. But if his superiors are telling me you don't flag it, that's not technically on him, but that's his key. And when that happens, that should be called. That was my mute. Apparently, I need to see my full boss tomorrow.
Just read it. Just read
Got
it.
it.
Just read it to yourself.
Wow.
Yep. Yep.
Dang.
Go on, folks. We're having a good time here.
Okay. So the key there is that the down judge didn't throw a flag.
Right.
So I think as a whole it's problematic, and it's specific to that game. Here's the rub though on that going forward. In the second half, the down judge and the line judge swap sides on purpose. They do that on purpose so that the coach can't get into the ear of one of the line judges for the whole game.
For the whole
So
game.
in the second half, your down judge that was on the left side of your screen in the other pictures now on the right side. In other words, he's on the Denver side. His peer on the other side is 23-year veteran Mark Perlman. Okay. Maybe not the best down judge that's ever been there because I think Byron Boston was probably it, but he's pretty damn good. So you may remember in the third quarter, Devontae Adams had a first down, but they marked it short. And they marked it short because Keller, the rookie, didn't spot him forward progress.
Right.
But they fixed it because Perlman jumped in and said, no, the spot is here versus here. And the Raiders got the first down. That's also the drive that Jimmy G threw the interception into the end zone. We didn't get any points. But the key here is that last week we said we're probably not going to be talking too much about the officiating. And I think all things considered, we're probably not. But the false starts bothered me. The forward progress spot for a rookie line judge bothered me. And then there was one other play later in the game. V, do you remember when Russell Wilson fumbled?
Yeah. On the rollout.
And the Raiders recovered, but they didn't give the ball to the Raiders because they said there was illegal contact. Downfield.
Right.
I watched that play from the various angles. And what I would say is that while it was unfortunate the Raiders didn't get the fumble recovery, it was a good call. Why was it a good call? Because there was the illegal contact. And to have illegal contact, the quarterback, though, has to be in the pocket. Because if he's out of the pocket, the defender assumes now we have a running play, and he's trying to ward off blockers.
Exactly.
So you can't call illegal contact for that. The question then was the illegal contact before or after Wilson scrambled out of the pocket? If you watch closely, the 4 seconds that it takes to have illegal contact downfield is right at the point where Russell is starting to break away from essentially outside the tackle box. It's the same box they would use for intentional grounding purposes, if you will. And at that point, then it's too close to call. While the optics are difficult to swallow because it was a turnover play, it was a good call. And I would defend that one. But that said, those were the few calls. Crosby got at least one of his holding calls, maybe two. There was a little bit, but I thought all in all, it was a pretty good game. I was disappointed that the Devontae Adams hold, the jersey tug, wasn't called. But we got away with the win, and the referees didn't kill us from that standpoint. So all in all, it is what it is. What else did you guys think about with regards to that game in particular?
I thought they kind of, because of the point spreads, I hate to get into that part of it. I think they kind of let a lot of stuff go, but then they would ding us at critical times, which is the normal history.
Yeah.
But they would ding us just enough to break momentum.
Well, and it's interesting that the NFL's running all these, scripting commercials, making fun of it, which means if they're making fun of it, it must be a thing. But I think what people get hung up on is they said, "Oh, it's not scripted." They're right; it's not scripted. It's because it's semi-scripted. There's a difference.
Yeah.
Philadelphia went into New England and beat the Patriots. Coach B, you not only got beat by New England, which we probably assumed was going to happen, but now you got two of the Dolphins coming in this week. This isn't one of those things where you can say we're getting ready for Cincinnati, because you go 0-2, and it might be a long season over there at the Rub and Scrub. What's going on over there?
But don't worry, I already got Trixie and I can't remember. They got a new girl. I think her name is Daisy. Daisy, Trixie. It's something that ends with an E, and it's going to end with me going, I'm going to show her my O face.
Yeah.
I'm going to show her my O face. Anyway, don't worry. Okay, it's because it's It's the coach.
Yeah,
It's the
yeah.
coach. Okay. I don't know who are we playing this week.
Who you're playing Miami at home?
Mm,
Well, it depends on the weather. They could move that game to Miami, maybe,
yeah.
if the weather gets crazy. But at this point, the game is at the Razor against Tua and the Dolphins.
Yeah, is there like weather this weekend or something like whether we're going to be there or
Well,
not?
there's that, but there's I think an actual weather storm headed that way.
Yeah.
No, okay. Yeah, as you can see, a lot of people call the coach when he's on the show.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
You
Yeah.
know,
Mm-hmm.
That,
I don't know if you
that's
guys
that
caught that.
greatness that you are, Coach. Hey.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I keep forgetting to turn the damn thing down when I'm on
I
the
got
show.
you. One
Anyway,
comment in there.
um,
Bronco in Virginia says the refs were horrible on Sunday for both teams. I don't know about that, but I don't know. It could have been worse. We could have had John Hussey or,
Oh, yeah.
I mean,
Flag Fest.
yeah, Flag Fest 2023. Yeah. The Rams went into Seattle and beat the Sea Chickens. I have no idea what happened there. I don't know if the Rams are accidentally decent or Seattle's like really bad. Whatever is going on with Seattle, they better fix it and fix it fast because now they're on the road in Detroit to take on the Lions. That's not going to end well for them if they go 0-2. But I think for me, what we're really going to find out is what Rams team we have because they're at home this week against San Francisco. But I was completely surprised that not only Rams win, but it was a 17-point win, wasn't it?
Yeah.
It was like 17 points over division rival. I don't get what happened there. Anybody help me out?
Really, what I saw was Seattle getting pushed around, and
Well,
even
there's that. Yeah.
Stafford. You know, you can say what you want about him. He was on point. He was sharp with his passes, and they had a decent run game, which surprised me.
So,
Um,
yeah, Broncos again. Virginia said 10 penalties on both teams. Yeah.
yeah,
Um, yeah, some of them were good, some of them not. But yeah,
it's
I
the
mean,
timing of them.
just because there's a lot of flags doesn't mean the officials did a bad job. Bills favored by 8.5.
8.5. Wow.
I expect a close game. Oh, okay, that's for the Raiders. Sultan says they lost both tackles. I'm not sure if he's talking about Seattle. Um,
I'm not sure either. But
so
I know Gino had a rough day that
yeah,
day.
Broncos.
I love the video. And by the way, I'm sorry I turned the thing down because you guys don't have to listen to the damn message that whoever was there. That's why I turned the microphone on.
Yeah.
Or Coach B would have finished the
Oh,
thought.
I got you.
But when Sultan says both the Seattle tackles.
Okay.
I love it's like, oh my God,
Yeah.
you know,
Yeah.
when you got
Aaron
what's his
Donald,
nose
yeah, breathing on you.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was real, man.
Here's the thing, it says, how about Kelsey complaining in his podcast the teams are wearing red gloves to get away with holding against the Chiefs? Look, that
Wow.
whole thing about wearing stuff that matches the other team's jersey. Look, this is pro football. These guys, these officials, we complain about them, and some of them probably shouldn't be there. But for the most part, they're schooled on this. And remember that the threshold for what is holding and what isn't holding is evident regardless of what color of anything you're wearing. So it sounds like it's a thing. It's not. That's optics that everybody likes to play in with all the conspiracy stuff. It's not a thing. And I can affirm that. Look, I've refed at pretty much every level. And I can tell you that I've called holding on guys wearing white gloves on white jerseys, black gloves on black jerseys, purple gloves on purple. It doesn't matter. We know what holding is.
Yeah.
The issue is that it is not uniformly enforced. And so whenever you have that, because it's a judgment call, but whenever you have that, that cracks open the whole place for all these conspiracy theories to come in there. I think it's nice chatter to talk about that, not a thing.
Yeah. What's up, Justin? Thanks
Yeah,
for joining.
welcome to the show. Detroit took care of things in New York. That was a big ugly. And Buffalo at New York Jets. everybody all liquored up to see Josh Allen, Aaron Rodgers. We got to see Aaron Rodgers for 75 seconds or whatever. Never threw a pass.
4 plays.
Done for the year, and maybe forever. I don't know. At 40 years old, but if he comes back, it's not going to be this year. So now we had a Jets team that was lonely for another Lombardi trophy, and now has to go to Dallas and play a team that liquored up the Giants for 40 points. I feel bad for the Jets because I think we got the same problem now with the Jets we had last year. A terrific defense, can't score any points. They were lucky in the win against Buffalo. Of course, that went into overtime, and then Buffalo has to punt. Jets run the punt back for a touchdown, game over. Buffalo has to be livid about going in there and getting beat by the Jets, especially when Zach Wilson pretty much played the whole game. So now Buffalo's going to lick their wounds, go home, and get a Raiders team that put up 17 points on the road against Denver, but will face a defense that's much better. But I think you got to really feel for the Jets at this point, right?
Yeah, you definitely feel for him, and you feel bad for Rodgers. Like I say, you couldn't have wrote a horror story any better than that one right there.
No.
And I knew something was serious when you saw the angle of it, that his ankle took. It just doesn't flex like that. But to the point, Buffalo pretty much lost that game themselves.
They
And
did.
I put
They
a lot
lost
of
it
that,
as much as the Jets beat them. Yeah.
much as the Jet beat them, they lost it. They had turnovers that I wasn't used to seeing from them. And instead of them being up, the Jets were the one that rose to the occasion. So that's going to be a dangerous team, even with their schedule going forward.
Yeah. Cap, what was your take on the Monday night game? Did you get to see it?
Yeah, actually, I stayed up. I stayed up to watch it, and I was kind of excited, to see, it's a September 11th game, and Rogers comes out with. I'm reading comments as well.
DC's going to get you, yeah.
Yeah. I see Rogers coming out with the flag. You got the whole pomp and circumstance things.
Yeah.
4 plays.
Yeah, 4 plays.
4 plays.
Couldn't believe it.
And I don't feel bad for the Jets, and I'll tell you why. I feel a little bit of pang for Rodgers, okay?
Yeah.
Because he's out in his little smoke shack or doing whatever, and then he's I'm 90% not going to play. Oh, okay, well I'll juice the Packers just for some more time. And then he ends up getting traded, and so they said all of this, whatever the deal is, and so he juiced them, and they juiced him, and they juiced the other team. So it doesn't matter. The guy, and I was looking it up because we were looking it up on Spot Track the other night. And I think he's got a $75 million contract with all of the different things. You got it. That's what he's going to be paid. I don't know how they're going to do that, but they're going to end up paying that out, kind of like they've, like a Bobby Bonilla type of thing. Maybe they're going to be paying all of this over several years, but that's money that they're going to be losing every year. And so he comes back and says, "Well, I'm going to rise again," and he had like a Jedi thing going on with his not Twitter, X feed, and so it's like, well, I will rise again. Yeah, well, dude, you're going to be 41.
Yeah.
By that time, because he's going to turn 40, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And it's going to be a year from now. So, and that's just with the rehab process. So he's going to be 41 when he even throws a ball in a real situation.
Yep.
Your days are behind you. Just wrap them up.
Yeah, that very well could be the problem.
Call it a career. Yeah.
Yeah. And it's unfortunate, but there was a comment in there that says that saves the Jets a first-round draft pick.
Right.
I think to the Packers. Nobody would. I would rather somebody get the first-round draft pick than to see a star player injured. But that's part of the reality of it from the business standpoint.
Right.
Well, it's an interesting week 1. There's carryover into week 2. We'll talk about that coming up in just a minute after the break. and got a Raiders team going into Buffalo. We'll be back in a minute. Yeah. Welcome back, everyone, to NFL Nation Live. We've covered week one. I'm going to get you ready for week two. Kickoff for week two is in a little over an hour or so.
Yep.
Was it 5:15 or something
Yep.
Pacific time? It's 3:45 now. And speaking of which, the Vikings, who got beat at home against Tampa Bay, going to go into Philadelphia. I'm a little nervous about the Eagles because we had the comment in there that week one is kind of what it is. The Eagles are going to go home now. They settle things out and get it going. I think the Vikings are in big trouble.
I think the Vikings better bring a couple of boxes of Wheaties. They're gonna need it, or some spinach or whatever gives them that strength. I don't see Philly losing this, even with a sluggish Hurts playing. Uh,
Yeah.
I think they just got too much for them right now, man.
Well, I would agree with you on that front. And honestly, Dallas is probably going to beat the Jets now. I think the Jets will give Dallas a little bit of trouble. No one's arguing. I don't think anywhere about how good that defense is. But that defense is not going to be able to hold Dallas off if the offense can't score any points. It's the problem we had with the Jets last year. That's why we put them on the clock even before we played week one. Maybe they're going to have to go back on the clock again now. But I think if New England gets beat this week or the Jets get beat this week and go 0-2, I think either or both of those teams could go on the clock. But what about the Vikings, Cap? They go in there and they lose to if they lose to the Eagles, they're 0-2, and they're 0-2 in the conference, but they haven't played a division game yet. That's still live for the Vikings, but are you a little bit concerned if they go on the road, get beat by the Eagles?
No, and by the way, I want to greet Kel Rogers, who is watching us from the UK right now.
Right on.
So
right on, Kel.
He's one of the UK Vikings that hits my show a bit. So again, blessings to you, Kel. So that's
welcome.
That's at least like 6 hours difference. So and thank you there, Kel. A great
Thank
guy.
you. Yeah.
Appreciate it, man.
Always in Tenerife. Well, okay, so he's on vacation. Anyway, when Kel says that the Vikings are going to lose, that tells you all you need to know. Okay. The Vikings didn't play well against the fake Pirates.
Right.
And at home, and Kirk Cousins, brain farted for actually, I can't really blame Cousins for that one pick where the guy just ripped it out of his hands. It was the one pick that the Buccaneers guy got it, and it was near the end. They were going for. And it's just a matter of the fake Pirate, the defensive back, just no, I want this more, and he took it away. So that's just the way it is. But tell you, I don't feel like the Vikings have any chance tonight unless everybody on the Eagles eats too much Pats or Genos before the game, and they have like a bad case of food poisoning. Because other than that, then the Eagles got this one pretty easy.
Yeah, I'll be surprised on a short week if they don't pull it off. Green Bay's going to go into Atlanta and play the Falcons. It's a Packers team that took the Bears to task last week. We've got a Falcons team that has a win at home in the division against the Panthers. I would say that for a week two game, this is pretty evenly matched, but you got to appreciate a Vikings team that put up 38 points, regardless of who that was, right?
Yeah, I'm taking Green Bay to go in there and beat Atlanta at home, just from what I saw from the defensive side of the ball.
Yeah.
And like I say, Love is no pushover, regardless of what people joke about him. He's no joke.
Apparently not. And Justin Fields, I think we're having a hard time trying to figure out what we have there, right, for the Bears?
Yeah. Like they're going in the opposite directions right now.
Yeah. Let's see. We have a rough schedule through week 7. Yep, by then, too late to recover. Maybe so. Falcons secondary going to give trouble for Love. That's a good possibility. That's
Yeah,
why. That's why I think that we're not sure what we have in the Packers yet, but not sure we have in the Falcons. But you put up 24 points against the Panthers at home. That still says something. So I think the Packers are going to get all they want. I think it's a game they should win, but I think it'll be a fun one to watch.
it's gonna be
Yeah,
close. Gonna be
yeah.
close. I think that the Packers win, and well, I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if the Falcons pull one out. It's gonna be one of those close games. Maybe the home crowd
Yeah,
takes it just that little bit. I don't know what the line is, but
I don't know either.
I think that the Packers are just a bit better than a Falcons team that is going to be ascending through the end of the year. But
Right.
what they're doing there is fantastic with Ritter and Bijan Robinson and a couple other players that they got. But I just think that the Packers have a bit more.
Interesting. We prop up the North this year and take an early first round draft for a new quarterback. Yeah, I've never been a Kirk Cousins fan, and I was really surprised they spent what they spent to get him from Washington. But it is what it is. Uh, Bronco in Virginia says, how long before Sean Payton starts thinking of rebuilding Denver? I think he's probably thought of that already, but does the loss of the Commanders start the rumbling? The issue
Mm.
with them, that game's later we're going to discuss, but that issue with them in Washington, to me, Washington's an anomaly. We really don't know what we've got. I think on paper they're the better team, but Denver's a tough place to play. If Denver wants to win that, I think they can. I think the issue there really is that Eric Bieniemy now is the OC in Washington. He knows how to beat Denver because he was the OC at Kansas City. If he's got something scripted up, I don't think anything that Sean Payton could come up with in the short time that he's been with Denver is going to be able to fix that. I still sort of like Denver at home, but man, that's a tough one. If it was in Washington, I'd take the Commodores. Denver, I think, gives them a little bit of an edge, but I don't know. It's if they go 0-2, fine by me, so to speak. But it's going to be. It could be a tough first season in Denver for Sean Payton, but that's okay. That's okay. They don't have a lot to work with, in my opinion. They've got some talent, but it is what it is.
Actually,
Uh,
so we're on the Denver Washington game yet. Let's
well,
are we
we're
or
technically out of order, but that comment came up, and I didn't want to lose it.
Yeah, I was going to say, ask my boy the donkey fan who's a shipmate of mine, good guy as well, who he thinks is going to win. I'd be curious to see what he has to say.
Okay. Ed says Washington wins in Denver. I think he's probably right. Okay, on to the
It's up
Raiders
there.
going to go into Buffalo and take on the Bills. The Bills team that got essentially beat up, if you will, by the Jets and lost in overtime on the punt return. We don't know what we've got in Buffalo. If they don't fix it till next week, we're okay with that. I think for me, the question is because the Raiders defense is what it is. I think is the offense going to be able to put up enough points to beat Buffalo? I think they're going to need at least 24. I'm not sure they're going to get that.
I definitely I would say 24 to 28 points to beat Buffalo with the problems that they're having internally or player wise. It should be a great matchup. If we come in and establish our run game, we've got the aerial arsenal. We could pick them apart just like we started to do with in the Denver game.
Well, you saw that Crosby single handedly
Yes,
took care of one Denver drive, essentially taking them out of field goal range
right.
and not letting them have any points. He's a one man wrecking show. He's been that for a while, but it was clearly on display again in Denver. I don't think Buffalo's ready for that. I don't think the weather is really going to be an issue. I think if this game were in
Wow.
December, that would be different.
Yes.
Right.
So I'm trying to figure out. We've got the special teams. I think that's at least on par or better than Denver. I think Josh Allen and Stephon Diggs have to have a huge game. But I think the issue for me in this game is going to be these guys. We've got Craig Rolstad
Official.
this week. His crew with Woods, Mello,
Mm.
Sutter, Shears, Territor, Bell.
Well, see, you just swore. You had a swear word in there, and I caught it.
Yeah, I did.
Steratore.
Yeah, well, it's Frank.
Oh,
It doesn't matter.
I know. I understand. It's the nephew.
It's blood. It's blood.
I don't like the deeps. I don't like Jeff Shears, Frank Storto, Grannis Bell. Um, not my favorites. There's crews out there that would be worse. I would have rather had Rolstad's crew at Denver and Vinovich's crew at Buffalo, quite frankly. But it is what it is. It's possible we're talking about the officiating next week with this crew. It's possible.
could be. Yeah,
I said with Vinovich's crew, probably not. I still think we got a fair game.
Yeah, we overall we did.
Yeah, and I expected that out of Bill's crew. This crew's okay, but I don't know. I don't like this crew on the road at all. So we're gonna have to run the ball and run the clock.
Keep that footage coming, Ref. Keep that footage coming.
Yeah.
We'll need it next week. Trust me.
Yeah.
Did you pick the game, V?
Yes, I'm picking us to win. Close.
This is big, right? Because if we go 2-0, we go 2-0, then not only do we have 1-0 division road game, but now we've got a road game against a conference opponent. Okay. So that's huge because that's tiebreaker stuff. The Chiefs are going to have the same problem in Jacksonville, right? So before we get to that, Baltimore are going to go into Cincinnati. It's a division game for the Bengals at home. They're second in 2 weeks. What, Cap?
Wait a second. I didn't pick the game yet.
My bad. Who do you pick, Cap? As if there's any big surprise.
No, I mean, it's unfortunate, but it's like I'd love to pick us this week. I really would. But I was just going over the fact, I said, when was the last time that the Bills had two stinkers in a row? Okay. Not
probably 1971.
Yeah, when they had OJ and
prior to OJ, yeah.
Yeah. Well, no, OJ was there like 68.
Yeah, 68. So, yeah, you're right.
Yeah.
69 or something.
Yeah, 68, 69. So they had, it was the electric company back then, him and the other guy.
Mm-hmm.
But I want to see a victory. I'm going to be there. I want to see a victory.
You're going to Buffalo?
Yeah, I'm going to Buffalo.
Right on, brother.
I'll look for you on TV.
Yep, it might be my last hurrah based upon what was in that chat.
Well, if you're going to go out, go big.
Yeah, yeah. I'll let you know what happens tomorrow.
Yeah.
So, Jack.
But hey, Jack, I can't pick the Raiders knowing what I think is going to be a very volatile crowd and a team that needs to be picked up because they knew that it was mostly Allen screwing up. And unless Allen just totally brain farts again, then we got a chance. But I tell you, their defensive line is a hell of a lot better than the defensive line
that's true
against the Broncos.
Well, and the Jets defense is way better than the Raiders, and they've always frustrated Buffalo. So because it's a division game, they know each other pretty well. So
yeah, I hate doing. I'm gonna pick the Bills and hope I'm wrong.
Yeah, me too.
There you go. Yeah.
Baltimore going to go into Cincinnati, take on the Bengals. It's the Bengals team that lost on the road last week to Cleveland. A loss by Cincinnati at home would be devastating because they'd not only be 0-2, but they'd be 0-2 in the division. But I think they're the bounce back pick this week because I'm not sold on the Ravens. I know the Ravens should have a lot of firepower, but they sure didn't put very much of it on display, in my opinion. They've got the kicking game with Tucker and all that. I just don't think the Ravens are going to play well in Cincinnati. But I tell you what, guys, I hate to say this, but if this Cincinnati Bengals team goes 0-2, I think we got a problem in Southern Ohio. What do you think?
Well, I'm picking Cincinnati as a bounce back team this year. Just heard today that J.K. Dobbins is out for the season with an Achilles. That was their main horse at running back. So now I forget the other kid's name, but that offense kind of struggled, even with all the all-star receivers that they picked up.
Yeah, did Beckham even have any catches?
I think he had one, if I remember, one or two.
What's going on there?
Yeah, it was just, I think, getting in sync, man. Preseason is one thing,
what
but
have you been doing? I mean, what have these teams been doing?
I don't know.
I hear you. I'm not. I know it's a rhetorical question, but it's just like come on, man, this is pro football. I don't know what they're doing, but it
And I
seems
and I think and I think in Burrow's case, he was having the, what do you call it? The resist
The aftershocks for
after,
something.
yeah,
Yeah.
for that, from that calf strain that he had. I think he
Oh,
Oh no,
rushed.
yeah,
no, that wasn't. He had the aftershocks of signing that wonderful big contract, and then you let it go to his head for a game.
probably.
Wow. Yeah. Well, he didn't light the cigar, I guess, after the game.
Mm-hmm.
Huh?
Yeah,
It's
But
interesting.
anyway, I'm picking the Bengals at home.
Yeah,
I am too.
they're my bounce back pick.
I
Yeah.
am too.
Again, I think just being 0-2 and 0-2 in the divisions, I won't say
Yeah.
it's unrecoverable, but the Bengals after Baltimore, they've got the Rams at home. Then
Justice.
they're at Tennessee, at Arizona, home against Seattle. Those are all winnable games. But three of those are against teams in NFC. So wins matter, but so do your conference and division games. And I don't know. I won't say it must win, but it's pretty damn close.
Yeah.
Seattle going to go into Detroit, get beat by the Lions. Indianapolis going to go into Houston, probably beat the Texans, but I don't know. I think this is going to be an interesting game. I think it's a game that Houston could win. I wouldn't be surprised next week if we're talking about a Texans win. It might be the only win of two or three that they get this year, but I'm not sold on the Colts. And if the Colts, though, do go down there and beat Houston, they gave Jacksonville all they wanted to. That would be a Colts team that, even though they're 1-1, feel pretty confident
Yep.
from here on out, heading into week 3 at Baltimore, right? V.
Yeah. I've got Indy and an upset in Houston. I think it's going to be a close matchup, but I think um, AR is gonna, like I say, save the day with his legs.
Yeah, it could. That may be a factor. That may be a factor. Houston just may not have all the pieces put together yet on a new team, so to speak. But you technically say the same about Indianapolis. But
I
yep,
was gonna say I think Steichen and Richardson will be the offense obviously that's needed.
okay,
You got D'Amico Ryans that's going to could do a lot with that team defensively, but it's
yep,
still early.
Yeah.
And I think that, like I said, you have the X factor in Richardson, and yeah, even my boy the Broncos said that if you had Taylor back there, yeah,
Yeah.
it'd be a super
Totally
easy
different.
play. But I think the Colts go in there and win. It's going to be close, but I think they're going to win.
Sultan says Colts win. Um, cool Kev, I think, said Houston puts Ursay in on the pig
On
pit.
the pig pit. Yeah.
You know maybe so. Some folks will be serving up whatever they serve. Will be the Jacksonville Jaguars. They're going to host Kansas City this week. The Chiefs lost the opener last week against the Lions on Thursday night. They're going to go into Jacksonville and play a pretty fired up Jaguars team. This is a Jacksonville team that may be ascending in their ability to make waves in the AFC, but the onus is on Kansas City now. Being if they lose to Jacksonville, being 0-2 isn't as devastating maybe as the Bengals lost against the Ravens because they'd be 0-2 in the division. But
Right.
this would be a loss in the AFC for Kansas City, which impacts seeding in the playoffs, which we assume Jacksonville will be a part of. So this is, I won't say a must win for the Chiefs, but an important one for them if they get that. And I think it helps the Chiefs more than it hurts Jacksonville, even though you could say the same is opposite's true as if Jacksonville lost about seeding. But Kansas City, they got to pretty much go in there and get a win against Jacksonville, don't you think?
Yeah. I'm picking them in a squeaker here, and the reason is, like you say, 0-2 in the AFC. That could be a hard hole to come out of, and we're gonna really see what they're made of right now, even with Kelsey coming back. Because, like I
Yeah,
say, I think they're sort of in transition too.
yeah. Bronco Virginia says Ridley looked excellent for being out for a year. Yeah, I would agree with that.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It says,
I think that. Oh, I'm sorry. Apologies for that, but yeah, I think that I don't think Kansas City is going to go 0-2 in conference. I'd love to see it.
yeah,
Trust me.
I would too.
Again, I want to be wrong again on that pick, but I think that Kansas City wins that game.
I think all the stars are lined up. If we go in and beat Buffalo, somehow Denver loses to Washington, and the Chargers go into Tennessee, get beat by the Titans. Um, that would be really interesting. Chicago going to go into
Mhm.
Tampa Bay, probably get beat by the faux Pirates. I don't know if Tampa Bay is as good as they were in Minnesota or if Chicago's as bad as they were against the Packers. But if the Packers don't fix whatever's broken, they're going to be 0-2 with another loss in the NFC against whoever these faux Pirates are at this point, right? That are looking for an identity.
Yeah, I'm looking for the Baker show to continue down there in Fort Pirateville.
Yeah,
Yeah, I'm picking them. Chicago's got some stuff happening, man.
apparently.
Field still doesn't look comfortable.
No, he doesn't.
The defense to me is what has fallen off though since last season.
And it's hard to imagine that when you think of the Bears, just in general,
Yeah.
throughout their whole history. But I agree, something's up there, V. And I don't know if it's players, the system, the coaching staff, the game plan, but something's amiss there. And an 0-2 start for the Bears, maybe they should be on the clock. The Chargers, who lost at home against Miami, are going to go into Tennessee and play a Titans team that's pretty good on defense, but can't score any points. So if you like points, you got to like the Chargers in this one. I think Titans will give them all they want to. I really think it's a game the Chargers will win just because the Titans, their offense bites. But if they get Derrick Henry going, and there was apparent last week that the Chargers probably couldn't have stopped anything, then maybe it's a longer day for the Chargers than we thought. What's you guys take on LA's ability to go in there and beat Tennessee?
I've got Herbert pulling out one in Tennessee because of the points they can put up and put up fast. I think they jump out on Tennessee and just keep the pressure on them. Henry can have a great day, but they can't put up enough points to keep pace.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're gonna have it. You have to play points like a pinball machine, and they don't have enough on offense. I mean, with Tannehill's still the quarterback, and until they figure out, and he's the starter, by the way. I mean, it's like and this is a segue, but it's like, who is the Jets going to grab from one of these teams? And what was it? The one guy that's on Fox News was saying that Ryan is a plug and play guy. You know, have Matt Ryan come in there and be a backbone. I'm just relaying what was said. So even that having been said, you got Winston and Nollins. You got like a crappy Tannehill with the Titans that this is his last year anyway. I mean, it's like, well, what do you want for it? You know, it's going to be a matter of quarterback roulette, and it's Tannehill doesn't have enough. Derrick Henry needs to run over people on offense and then make tackles on defense, and that ain't going to happen, unfortunately.
Yeah. So Bronco Virginia. Oh, I lost his comment. He said Bill. I think he said like Bills, Bengals, and Chiefs were like top three teams. Then he said something about something killing the Chiefs' chances, and I didn't catch all that. But Broncos could make the Jets a sweet deal for Russell Wilson. Yeah, well, that would be interesting. And Russell Wilson's, I hate to say it, Russell Wilson's washed up. He's still effective, but he's not a top tier quarterback anymore. He's not going to win any more Super Bowls. He was lucky to get the one. But it is what it is. But he's better than some other folks out there. So, but if the Broncos are ready to move on, and they probably should be, and they could get some capital for Russell Wilson, I wouldn't argue the trade.
Part of the rebuild somebody mentioned earlier.
Yeah. The Giants going to go into Arizona. This is two big uglies playing for respectability. They're both 0-1. Arizona actually played pretty well against the Commanders, but couldn't get it done. Again, they're not scoring enough points. But the Giants blow out at home against Dallas on, the celebration of 9/11, 40-0. I think it says a lot about how bad the Giants can be if they want to be. They're going to have to be a lot better if they want to go into Arizona and beat the Cardinals.
I think they'll circle the wagons on this West Coast trip. Arizona is really not showing me anything to really impress me about them going forward, even though they're going forward. But
is that what they're doing?
Yeah, well, they're going.
We'll put them on the clock. So
on
right there, that ought to tell you the Giants are going to get the win.
Yeah, they're just, I feel for the fans for that whole season, man. They're gonna suffer.
Bills are overrated. Yeah, but
Yeah,
the rest of the AFC is not that good. But if Jimmy G so a week, how some experience on my point is I'm thinking have struggled. Chiefs are going 0-2 and AFC wouldn't kill. Oh, I see what you're saying. Oh, okay. I see. Chiefs going 0-2 and AFC wouldn't kill them for the seeding. Probably not. I get it now.
right,
Yeah,
right,
that's a good point. That's a good point. But and I would agree with that point even more if their 0-2 wasn't against Jacksonville. I mean, Jacksonville is a team that could contend for the number one seed. So that loss is the tiebreaker, which puts Kansas City back into Jacksonville. If Kansas City were going to anywhere else except maybe Cincinnati and went 0-2 in the conference, I wholeheartedly agree with Bronco Virginia's comment. I still agree with his comment, but the fact that it's Jacksonville makes it maybe more of a thing in my mind, and that's just my opinion. But again, I agree with him. It's not. It's not overcomable
right.
because Kansas City's other notable games, I think. Let's see, Miami, which is I think in London or Germany. They play
Yeah.
Philadelphia, they play Green Bay, they play Buffalo, so and they play Cincinnati. So Kansas City. So back to Bronco Virginia's comment is true because if you look at the rest of their schedule, they're going to play all the primary other non-division AFC teams that will also impact seeding. So another Jacksonville loss somewhere down the line against somebody else does actually make it recoverable because it is only week 2. But
Hey,
What's
hey,
up, Bishop?
what one thing, and I hate to do this to you, Ref. DC, this is a show about the entire NFL.
Oh yeah,
Okay. I see the comments, and this is an NFL Nation live show. I will have as much as you want, either on my show at 9 o'clock, or if I have an uncensored show after this, and you can talk your ass off about the Derek Carr issue. I don't care. Not here. Okay. We're talking full NFL. I got other things on my mind too.
yeah,
I just needed to tell you. I
yeah.
get it, DC, but let's
yeah.
move on and watch the other shows.
No,
I
and,
see you,
and I
brother.
appreciate you addressing that, but I appreciate the fact that there's still discussion about Derek Carr. But I do agree that on this show we've moved on from that. Not that it's not relevant in its own place
Right.
and can be vetted out in somewhere, but I agree with you,
Other
Cap. That yeah, we've
other
kind of
vendors.
we covered a lot of that last year, and it might still come up, so that's okay. But
Cinderella
uh,
team for the Super Bowl. That's it'll come back up. Trust me.
yeah. San Francisco going to go into LA to take on the Rams. Two teams in the NFC West that are now 1-0. The Rams went into Seattle and beat the Seahawks. Of course, we know that San Francisco took care of business in Pittsburgh last week. What's going to give here? We're going to find out that San Francisco is going to essentially manhandle the rest of the division, or the Rams got some secret up their sleeve that they have answers for San Francisco and how to beat that one. I'm not so sure, even though it's in LA.
They may have a secret, but I don't think it'll be this week. Purdy came back. He's playing better than I expected him to. McCaffrey is just killing. And like I say, that defense, it's you don't even need to say it.
Well,
They come
yeah.
out there and take care of business, man.
Yeah, and I think the thing for me, and Ed's comment in there is that San Francisco tough to beat. I agree with you. I agree with him on that front. I think my issue with the Rams is still the same issue I've always had with the Rams, even during their Super Bowl run a couple of years ago, is they don't have a running game to speak of.
To speak of.
Jonathan Taylor was on the trading block that could have made a difference for them in the NFC West, and for whatever reason, it didn't happen. I think if I were Stan Kroenke, I would have been what is Indian? I almost said Baltimore. What does Indianapolis want? Let's give it to him because he could have been the difference for them in that offense. And the fact that Kupp now is essentially on injured reserve, I think they had other
Yeah.
folks last week that stepped up, but they're going to have to get the tight end. Is it Higbee more involved? I think if they're going to beat teams other than Seattle and make a run for the playoffs. The Jets are going to go into Dallas, probably get beat by the Cowboys. This is a Jets team.
Dumped. And the thing is that I'm sorry there. I just had to exclaim. It's not that the Dallas offense is going to be. It's the
Right.
defense. The
The
defense
defense.
can score.
Yeah.
the defense of the Cowboys can score enough points because the Dallas offense is still really nothing to speak of.
Yeah.
Okay, and they're just going to thump the Jets. I mean,
Yeah.
in fact, I don't think the Dallas offense is going to score a lot on that Jets defense because
Probably not, but it'd be enough to win.
Enough. Yeah.
And that's the problem. I think Zach Wilson will be improved, but this is the same issue now that we had last year, and why we put the Jets on the clock last year before the season even started was because they can't score points. And I think they'll score. I think they'll do better than they did last year, but I still don't think it'll be enough. I think it'll fall far short of what their expectations are, which obviously were pretty high with Rodgers,
Pretty high.
not quite so high now with Wilson. But I just don't think it'll be enough. And we were talking in the green room prior, V, that I think aside from maybe Philadelphia or San Francisco, the poor Jets, right? They beat Buffalo at home kind of by accident, if you will. Not that there wasn't a team effort there, but the Bills let down a little bit. But, they beat Buffalo. But of all the places you want to go on the road in week 3, they got to go to Dallas. Tough place. I mean,
we're going to see what they're made out of.
Yeah, I mean, you could have gone to Arizona, you could have gone somewhere else, but they have to go to Dallas. Washington going to Denver. I think it play one of the biggest flip-flop games of the week. I don't know which way to go with this. I think Eric Bieniemy, if he has the players to execute it, will have a good game plan against Denver. I know Denver's different than when he was with Kansas City just a year or two ago because of the changeover there, but there's still enough about what he knows about that environment and all that I think he should be able to pass along to the team. I think it's whether or not Washington can execute enough to really win this. They scored 20 points last week, and so they're going to need more than that this week. I don't know if they're going to get it. This could be a 21-20 ball game, right?
I'm calling it a close one with Denver edging out.
Yeah, by a field goal maybe.
By a field goal or so. Yeah, it's going to be that type of a game.
You're going to put Broncos hopes on Will Lutz?
Well,
hope it doesn't come to that, Cap, but
that's ballsy, man.
Yeah.
No, I get it, but Kilkev says Commanders steal this game by a field goal, probably. Bronco and Virginia. Denver wins. Judy should be back. Will be close. Sam Howell on the road as well. Washington front four could give Denver O-line fits. That's where this game is going to be won or lost.
Right there.
But that's a good point, because if Judy is back in, I think the Broncos offense is back in. I'm just concerned that, and I'm not putting all this thing on Bieniemy, but I just think that element with what Washington can bring should be enough. But man, Denver's feisty. You got to play them for 61 minutes. You can't play them for 59 minutes, 58 seconds. You're going to get beat.
Yeah.
And if Washington decides not to do that, they're in trouble. So Denver's going over 20 points. Well, yeah, maybe. Well, they had 16 last week. Should have had 17, right?
Actually, they should have had 20.
And if that game had been 17-17 in overtime, who knows what would happen?
Well, like I said, the guy missed a field goal and an extra point.
And
so
an
they
extra
should have
point.
had.
Well, that's right.
Yeah,
so who's the official at Denver? Oh, Brad Rogers. That's a good crew.
Yeah.
That's a good crew. So that's going to be an interesting game. Miami going to go into New England and take on Coach B and the Patriots. You got to like Miami and what they did last week. They didn't play much defense, but they scored a lot of points. They'll play a better defense this week, but this is a Patriots team, guys, that scored 20 points against a Philadelphia team that maybe just kind of didn't have it all together in week 1. How do you see this one coming out, Coach?
Yeah, well, first off, Miami is doing me a favor because they're bringing up Trixie and Daisy from Stewart, so they're actually flying them up for me special. So they're saving me a trip. And I need to do a little bit of unwinding. Talk about a sensation with a happy ending. So that'll be me at the end of the game. So I really don't care who wins at that game, but I know I'm going to have a happy ending that night because of Jason.
Well, I think Miami's going to. I think Miami's going to probably make you 0-2. I think you should probably talk about what size your gold jacket is going to be and should get the hell out of there. I got to retract here because it says Bronco, Virginia. Don't forget the Raiders and Broncos only had 6 possessions. Are you talking about for the whole game?
For the whole game or for a half?
That's got to be for a half.
Yeah,
Probably for a half.
for a half,
Yeah.
I think.
Yeah.
And the league average, I think you said was 10. That's probably about right.
Yeah.
But when you have all those penalties, you're going to stop the clock a lot on top of all that. Well, Coach, wish you luck against Miami. I think you're probably going to be 0-2, and then you got your buddies, the Jets, next week in New York, and then which you probably can win now, and then you got to go to Dallas. So you'll be lucky if you're 1-3 at the end of September.
Oh,
Maybe
yeah.
we should put you on the clock. Eh?
Don't worry about that.
I got it.
You know, I'm calling as coach, I'm calling for a Cheatriot win.
Okay.
Oh,
But
Well, yeah, I
maybe-
would think you would.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but maybe somebody else might come in a minute. But I gotta, you know, I'm gonna, you know, I'm gotta get
Well,
stretched and limber for the girls. So I'll
Sh-
catch you guys later and take a nap. I got
Sean Smith's your referee, so bring your attitude. The Panthers going to go into Carolina. I'm sorry, the Saints going to go into Carolina to take on the Panthers, the Saints team that won last week by accident over Tennessee. Didn't really score a lot of points. I think the Saints are in trouble if the Panthers have any offense going at all. I think
Did I miss
know
anything?
I know the Panthers only got 10 points on the road in Atlanta,
Right.
but Carolina's in trouble if they go 0-2. I think the NFL wants that division to be flippy floppy, so I wouldn't be surprised if the Saints crap all over the place and the Panthers get a win. I think the Saints are the football pick. I think they're technically the better team, but you just don't know what you're going to get out of a Derek Carr led team versus the Panthers. Who do you guys like in this one? I'm actually going to take the Panthers at home.
I'm taking the Saints because of the Saints defense, not the offense.
Yeah. Well, the Saints defense did a good job last week.
Yeah.
No doubt about it. But you got to appreciate the fact that, Tannehill couldn't throw across the street and hit a parked car. So when Derrick Henry's your only offense, it's pretty easy to put 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 guys in the box, stop that offense. But they won't have that luxury this week against the Panthers.
Well, I just see Brian still earning his stripes, so to speak, or getting initiated to the speed of the game.
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying. If I'm a D coordinator, I'm sending the house at it.
I'm sorry. What game are we on? I just walked in.
New Orleans Saints Panthers.
Yeah.
Oh, well, I want to. By the way, DC was asking when I have a show immediately after this, and then another one at 9. So not immediately after this, but I'll have a show uncensored, possibly, and then a 9 o'clock show. So you can come in if you have to swear, you can have to wait until.
Appreciate that.
You can do that.
Yeah, we're about an hour from kickoff, so we got to get out of here. Let people
right.
get
But
the
Carolina and the Saints, I'm gonna pick a Carolina upset.
Yeah, me too. Ed says Saints lose by 12. Okay, that's what I think
Wow.
too.
Okay.
Yep, that's what I think. I just think the Panthers are going to be ready to play, and not sure the Saints are going to be ready to play. Cleveland at Pittsburgh. The Browns going to go into to the Steel City to play their cross-state rivals. It's the Steeler team that got blown out last week. I'm not sure what we have in the Steelers, but here's another team. I'm talking about Pittsburgh that could go 0-2 and be really hurting because they will have had 2 losses at home, one of them in the division. I like their chances against the Browns, but I like them in the same kind of way that I like the Panthers' chances. I think Cleveland's defense is going to show up. I think the question is, will the Pittsburgh's defense show up?
Sure.
If they do, then I think Steelers will outscore Cleveland 20-17. But I think that we're on Steelers watch at this point, right?
I think so, and they've got their big D tackle Hayward has abdominal surgery. He's out. Yeah. So now how is that going to affect the defense?
Well,
I'm just
saying
they got to
stop Chubb,
and they got to stop Chubb. So I'm saying that Cleveland's defense will probably dominate this game.
Yeah.
If they can shut down the Steelers scoring, Cleveland wins.
Bronco in Virginia. Cleveland beats Pittsburgh. Tomlin doesn't survive. Gets fired at the end of the season.
Ooh-wee.
Kenny Pickett, worst quarterback in the division. Spoken like a true Bronco.
Yeah, yeah,
I'll say that.
that's a lot. That's a lot of bias there. I do
Well,
think
sure,
though.
but they're
I do.
fans, right?
He's still pissed about the friggin' what was it the Biner fumble. You know,
Oh, way back in the day.
yeah. You know, or I should say, I'm a positive because the Donkeys won the 2 games that they played against the Browns because of a Biner fumble and other
Well,
things. So yeah,
and then they let John Elway drive 98 yards. I mean, come
yeah,
on.
the drive. But you know what? That's still.
No,
I
I get it.
actually I'll agree in one respect. I actually think Cleveland's going to win that game.
Well, I wouldn't be surprised. I
Yeah.
wouldn't be surprised. I think at that point, then we got to be really concerned about
See you,
Pittsburgh.
Jack.
We got to be
Yeah.
really concerned about Pittsburgh. I think if
And that's why
Pittsburgh,
I'm hoping, you know, that those like I said, they can fix their stuff after we play them.
I think if Pittsburgh gets beat at and they go 0-2, if Cincinnati, maybe not Cincinnati, if the Jets go into Dallas and get pounded or beaten, New England gets beaten by Miami, I think we're going to have some teams to put on the clock. I actually thought we should probably just go ahead and put the Jets on the clock this week, but I don't know how you guys feel about that. You think there's
I would,
it's too early?
yeah, I would
Wait.
wait a week or so, week or two, just to see.
Okay.
But this week coming is gonna weigh
Yeah.
a lot into that, and I'm
right.
watching Houston too.
Yeah, no, I agree with you on that front. Yeah, well, I agree. Yeah, I don't know. I think that's an interesting one. The Colts better show up, and they better decide that they're for real. They need a division win on the road, and then we can start maybe starting to think about hitching up that Colts bandwagon to something. But if they go in and get beat by Houston, then Jacksonville, I think, is just going to walk away with that division. I just don't think there's going to be anybody stop Jacksonville.
And so
Colts will be
Sultan,
0-2.
we already did that
Colts-
last week there, Sultan. So we have to pick another team if we do. We already put the Cardinals on the clock.
We did, yeah. I mean, if the Colts lose, they'd be 0-2 and 0-2 in a division. Not looking good for Indianapolis. But that's why we play the games.
Yeah.
But we're watching that, right? We're going to see how teams are going to come out. Let's see at the end of the month, the 1-3 teams, they're in trouble. The 2-2 teams, let's see what teams those are, and what's remaining with the rest of their schedule. And now those 2-2 teams or 3-1 teams, how many points are they scoring?
That's right.
You know, so a lot to talk about. This is an interesting part of the season as we get into it. So, all right, gentlemen, we're about an hour, a little over an hour before kickoff. We want to get out of here so folks can go get their chicken wing and watch the Vikings and Eagles. What are your thoughts going into week 3? Anything on your mind? I'm sorry, week 2?
Week 2, the drama continues, but I'm hoping that we can keep momentum, and really I'm hoping to see more chemistry that I'm seeing from our squad, especially.
Yeah, I agree with you on that.
I'm liking what I'm seeing. I just hope there can be a little bit better execution, especially at the safety position. That's where we're hurting. And but other than that, man, I'm looking for another exciting week of football.
Cap, in the Raiders Broncos game, what was your quick take on the Raiders offensive line?
They played.
Give it a grade. A, B, C, D.
C plus, B minus.
Yeah,
because they didn't allow any sacks.
No sacks. Yeah.
But they couldn't run block for shit.
Doodad was moving though too. Jimmy G was moving.
Right. Well, and that was the fun thing. It's like it was so nice to see a quarterback not curl up in a ball.
Right. Exactly.
When somebody's in his face.
Exactly.
And he moved around.
Well, and then Denver threw a lot of short stuff, so Crosby really didn't get a chance to get 3 steps into his stuff. When they did hold back, he creamed them.
Yeah.
But he wasn't effective because they did a couple things. They threw the quick out stuff or they ran away from him. But on the times when they tried to run that way or they tried the deeper drops, he creamed them. So most of the time. So, okay, that's good. All right, everybody. Thanks for joining us for week 2. We will be back next week on Thursday at 3/6 to get you ready for week 3. Enjoy the games this week, everybody. And let's go get a win in Buffalo, maybe.
That's it.
Yeah, I'm going to be there.
Right on.
Yeah.
Safe travels, Cap.
Safe travels, brother. Yeah, definitely.
Take care, everybody. We'll see you next week.
See you guys.